Good morning, everyone. It's Shelly from Art for My Table. Happy Friday! It is time for our live cooking show. One of the highlights of my week, so I hope you enjoy it just as much as I do. First of all, we are going to be making today a sheet pan steak dinner. And it's so easy and it's super delicious. So I always think of steak being I order it when I go out because, it's not the most economical meal. So, it's more of a once in a while type thing. But, and for some people, like, do I grill it? Do I do it in the oven? There's so many different ways to prepare it. And if you're craving like that restaurant style, what do I do? So I'm going to show you a great way to cook it right on a sheet pan with your vegetables. It's a one-pan dinner and it's quick and easy. So, hey Carl, if you come home for lunch, I'll feed you some steak. So, before we get started, just a couple things. One, if you're watching this on the replay, then just fast forward a few minutes and we'll get right down to the cooking, okay? Secondly, as usual, I have a little bit of housekeeping to do. So I just want to make sure I load the recipe up on the Facebook post so that you have easy access to it. So I'm going to do that. It usually takes me a minute. And then if you want to be able to reference back to this post or this recipe really easily, just go ahead and share it on your wall. And then it'll be really easy for you to find again. So I'm going to take care of this. And while I'm doing that, I would love to know where you're watching from and what is the weather like there right now. We have snow, and snow, which, is pretty normal for Michigan in February. So, my kids actually have a snow day today. So it's been kind of just a weird week. We had a snow day on Monday, and then we had, I had one that wasn't feeling good on Tuesday, but he seemed to be okay. And then Wednesday, he wasn't doing that well. He started to run a fever. And then Thursday, I had to keep him home because he had a fever the day before. And then Thursday, I had another one come down with a fever. So my husband and I are getting ready to leave for a little vacation, just the two of us, which I'm so excited for. And I am just praying that everybody is healthy. So we have just a awesome girl that is coming to stay with everyone and, just kind of move in and take over. So, but today we have snow day. So I have one doing schoolwork because he's homeschooled, and then I have 3 watching a movie downstairs to keep them quiet. So, does anyone else do that? Just kind of use a movie as a babysitter, like when you absolutely have to? So, anyways, I just didn't want it to be too noisy. They really are enthralled with the whole live video thing, and I know that they would rather be up here watching this, but they're good. They're good kids. They're obedient, and they're enjoying their movies. So, one more thing here, and then I'm done. All right, now we can get going. So, here's what we're making today. We're gonna make sheet pan steak and veggies, and we're gonna do a like a Boursin cheese sauce to put over the steak. Yum, right? So, it's like an herbed cream cheese kind of base sauce. So, if you may have seen it in the stores before under the brand name Boursin, and so this is sort of just an at-home way that you can make it. So we're going to use our food processor for this, and I just have my small bowl because I really don't need it, the big one right now. So that's what I'm doing here, and I'm going to start out with putting my whipped cream cheese right into the bowl. And we're just going to use this whole package. Yum. And the whipped cream cheese, it just has, I mean, it's whipped, right? So it's really light and airy. Okay, and now all we're gonna do is add a whole bunch of herbs and spices. So this is, you know, if there's something that you don't have, it's super flexible. Like you could just leave it out if you wanted to. No worries there. Or you can make sure you have them. Like for me, most of them I keep in stock. Like tarragon I keep, but I don't use a ton. And then, what's the other one? Oh, marjoram. Like that's another one that I don't, you know, use a ton of, but it's just nice to have on hand. So we're gonna start out with our parsley flakes, and this is really easy. I'm doing a half a teaspoon of everything. So every single one of these spices that I'm adding in, and these are all, you know, just dried spices that you find in the grocery store, where in the baking aisle where all the spices are. You could certainly use fresh if you wanted to. You would just use, you know, different amounts. So next is oregano. And then we have some marjoram. Make sure I say that right. Which is kind of, if you're not familiar with it, it's kind of earthy. Like I'm not really even sure how to describe it, but it's good. And mixed in with all these other flavors, it's fabulous. Tarragon is next. So there's about, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, about 8 or 9 things that we're adding in here. And then this is thyme leaves. Sorry, I didn't, this one I had to replace yesterday. I was all out of time. And I was all out of time. It's kind of how I feel every day. Okay, I was all out of THYME. And I forgot to open this prior to starting. So let me do that a minute. Just the easy way with a knife. Heaven forbid I damage my nails, right? Which need to be done. There we go. Okay, so half a teaspoon of thyme. Next up is chives. Do we have any cheese lovers in the crowd? If you're watching today, give me a thumbs up or a heart if you love cheese. Even if you're watching this on the replay, love to hear from it. This is sage. That's next. We grow sage in the summer, and I just love it. I love it with like fall dishes too, mixed with pumpkin and butternut squash. We have some basil leaves, another favorite that we grow. Okay. And that is it for the herbs and spices that are going to go in there. So next I'm just going to put here, let's see if I can show this. Well, I'll show it to you after I mix it. Okay. And I'm just going to turn this on for a minute and let it get all incorporated. Hi Kathy, you love cheese? Me too. Kathy, do you have a favorite kind? Are you like, what end of the scale are you on? Mild or stinkier the better? All right, now I'm going to just give it a little scrape here because the herbs will kind of go up on the side of the bowl. And so we want to make sure that it's all incorporated in the cheese. So I'm going to give it one more and then it should be done. And then we have another step to this cheese sauce too because we want it to be pourable. So I'll show you that in a minute. Oh, it's cold in Pennsylvania. It's cold in Michigan too. No school today for the kids. It's snowing. I just to stop snowing before my flight tomorrow. Pull this out. Okay, got like fumbly fingers here because there's cheese on it. It's slippery. It really isn't this hard. Wow, okay. I am struggling today. There we go. Okay, well I hope that was entertaining for you. So, I'm gonna wipe my hands here so I don't get cheese on the video, on the camera. I'll just give you a little peek here. So, it's all mixed in. Smells amazing. I know, I feel like it's like my big old hand is in there, but I want to make sure you can see. Okay, so now what we're going to do, let me get the food processor out of my way a minute. Finished with those. I'm going to pull in my little portable stove. Kathy, like blue cheese, gorgonzola, goat cheese, I think a lot of times are considered stinky cheese. Maybe if you're watching you can think of another one, put it up there. But so yeah, I'm sort of in that stinkier the better camp. I really like cheese, and I like strong cheeses, but I like mild cheese, really. I just like all cheese. So, okay, I'm gonna get my little blade out here. Try not to drop it. I just am not, like, I don't want to be a person of waste, so I feel like I have to scrape it off. You know, it's very hard for me to do one of those shows, you know, like on Food Network, because probably, you know, you don't just sit there and take the time to scrape it off. And so what I'm going to do next is, can you guys see this okay? I'll pull it in a little further here. I'm going to turn on my little stovetop here, just like medium to low. And I'm going to put the cheese in here, and we just want to melt this down a little bit, okay? I totally want to lick the spatula right now, but I promise you I'm not going to. Hey, Kristen. Okay, so I have this on medium-low heat, and I just want it to start melting so that it's a little bit softer. And then we're going to add a little bit of milk to it to thin it out. And you could use, you can use almond milk if you want to, or regular milk. I'd probably stay away from coconut milk. That might have just a little bit too much flavor. But, you know, soy milk, whatever. So if you have any of those, and this is cheese, so it's clearly dairy, but I know some people just have a hard time with milk, so we love it. So I'll show you this in a minute. It's starting to just get a little softer, and it's melting down for me. This is a little portable stovetop, and it's a conduction stovetop, and so it's electric, you just plug it in. It's nice to have like an extra burner when you're entertaining. Or nice to be able to just move my stove over in front of the camera. And I just have it on like a 3. So conduction works a little bit different than an electric. It heats up really quick. It can boil water in like 1 minute. So, which we love to do like for tea and stuff. But when we remodeled our kitchen, we were thinking about putting one of those like hot water taps in, and I was like, okay, it's probably a little bit excessive because we can boil water in a minute. So like how impatient are we? Okay, so see this getting softer. So I'm actually going to turn that heat down just even a little bit more now. And you're going to need like 1/4 cup to 1/2 cup of milk. I just pour in, you know, a little bit, maybe a couple tablespoons at a time, and then just get that incorporated. And you can use a whisk too if that's easier. Usually we'll incorporate a little bit faster, but this works just fine. So it's the weekend. What are you guys doing this weekend? Do you have any plans? I'm looking for some vacation reads. So as I mentioned earlier, we are heading out for a little vacation. So my idea of a vacation is poolside and books. Like, just give me a pile of books and some water. Hello, Mom Files. Thanks for joining us. Oh, thanks, Kristen. It is so good. And so you guys can see it's just getting a little thinner and thinner. And I want it to be pourable. So I'm going to keep going. And it's nice and warm right now. This will also keep in your fridge. When you make this recipe, it's linked in the description. It makes more cheese sauce than what you'll need. You actually use about half of the amount. So we do that mixture in the food processor, and then you use like half of that you warm up and add your milk to make it pourable. And then you can pour that on your steaks. But the rest of it just makes a wonderful like cheese spread for crackers or dip for vegetables. Even the sauce, like once it's thinned out, you don't have to thin it all the way to pourable if you don't want to, but you can use it as a nice little dip for vegetables or whatever. So this doesn't take a whole lot of time to do. It's just sort of, you know, taking it easy to make sure you don't get, or taking it slowly to make sure you don't get too much in there at once. And the reason I don't do this while the steak is cooking is because our steak is only going to take 8 to 10 minutes total. So, and depending on the doneness that you're going for, it could take a little bit longer than that. I'm aiming for medium rare today. So, so I don't want to have my attention divided between the two of those because I don't want that to burn. So this is the one thing that I kind of do it ahead of time. It gives it a chance to cool a little bit. And then we'll work on the rest of it, which all goes on one pan and is done quick and easy. So this is getting pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and use the rest of the milk. So I've used 1/2 cup total in here. And we'll just incorporate that. And then we'll start with our vegetables and our steak. And I have a lot of tips for you today. Oopsies. On having success with your sheet pan dinners. So I don't know, do a lot of you make sheet pan dinners on a regular basis? If you do, let me know, or if you don't, let me know. It's one of my favorite things because it's just easy and quick. But what I like about doing a sheet pan is it doesn't have too much moisture. Sometimes when you throw everything like in a 9x13 baking dish and you cover it, there's like a bunch of water in the bottom. Or not water, but just, you know, the moisture, the juice and everything that it makes. And so sometimes that can affect well, it absolutely does affect how it turns out. Not that it turns out bad, but it's just, I don't know. I guess I don't like mine sitting in water, so maybe it's more of a personal preference. But okay, so I'll show you the sauce here. So see, it's still thick and will just spread on nicely, but it's just more pourable, so I can easily kind of drizzle that on a steak. Okay, so we're gonna set that aside and it'll be fine just as is. For whatever you have for leftovers, just store it in your fridge. And I usually put it like in a mason jar and store it there, and we just eat it on everything because it's really good. Okay, so next up we're going to work on our vegetables. So we're going to start with some broccoli. It's a great idea to, rinse your vegetables or use your vinegar solution, whatever you like to do. And for today's recipe, we're going to need just the broccoli florets. Okay, good. I have like 4 or 5 tips for you, Kathy, on the sheet pan dinners. And I'm going to share them with you while the steak is in the oven, because that'll be the perfect time while we're kind of waiting on that, because I want you to be able to see the end result. But it really does go relatively quick. Okay, so first of all, for broccoli, for this recipe, I just want to use the florets. You actually can eat the whole thing here. So I know a lot of people only eat the florets. It seems to be the most appealing part. They're pretty, they're dark green. But you can also eat the stalks as well. For the sake of the amount of time that this is going to cook in our oven, we're only going to use the florets today, because we're going to keep everything, so that it just can go in there for the same amount of time. And the stalks take a little bit longer to cook. They're a little bit more firm, and so they're very juicy, but they just need more time. And you can eat them raw or cooked. So I just reserve those, and then you can add them to a salad. A lot of places, like in the store, they'll sell broccoli slaw. So that's just these stalks that are shredded up, so to speak, okay? So, and if you are going to go ahead and use these for something else, when you're ready to use it, just chop about an inch off the bottom, because this will get, dried out just from being stored or whatever. So I'll chop it off before I use it. And you could chop it up, you could shred it, you could saute it. There's so much that you could do with it. Add it to your salads, use it as a salad, use it as broccoli slaw. So again, just don't like to waste. So I'm going to cut these, and then I'm going to kind of just break them up into some florets. Sometimes you get something like this where they're all kind of stuck on there. So I'm going to go ahead and just take some of those down so that they're more individual. And then we want everything just to be about the same size. Okay, let me grab my sheet pan. And we're going to start out with putting our vegetables on here. So I love the idea that this is just a one pan thing. So you can, you could put these in a bowl and then do your oil and your seasoning, but I just actually do it all in the pan, and then I'll move it around when I'm ready to put the steaks on. So for this, I'm choosing broccoli and some cherry tomatoes, grape tomatoes, whatever you want to call them. I love these. They're called Wild Wonders at the store that I shop at, and there's heirloom, and there's yellow and orange and red, so I just love all the color. So hi Marianne, thank you for joining us from Cincinnati. So I'm just going to go ahead and pour these on. And this is not a full container, but I do about a pint is what the recipe calls for, okay? So now I just have this intermixed, and I want to oil this up and season it a little bit. So let me move this so that I can make sure you see. All right, can you guys see that okay? I think so. All right, so I'm just gonna drizzle some oil on here. Probably a tablespoon or 2. Clearly I'm not measuring. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and mix it around, just so that I can get all the vegetables kind of covered with this. It'll also kind of oil the bottom of your pan a little bit too, so you can, prevent sticking or whatever. But usually with it oiled up like this, you're not going to have that problem. So I just love how colorful this is. Okay, and I'm going to pause a minute just to turn on my oven. Sorry, I had to move my rack there too. So, hey Melissa, how you doing? Jennifer, I love roasted vegetables too. I think my favorite roasted vegetables are in the fall. I'll do like sweet potatoes and what else do I put in there? Eggplant, butternut squash, onions, garlic, like just whole things of garlic. Oh, yum. It's so good. I'm doing good, Melissa. I'm glad you are too. Zucchini, grape tomatoes, and yes. Ooh, that sounds so good. I love that. I know. They're just, I don't know, life-saving, life-changing, time-saving, life-changing. Okay, so I have these pretty well oiled up. Now I'm just going to add salt and pepper. So really easy, simple. I really like pink Himalayan salt because it's got good minerals in there for you. So we're just going to generously season those. And then I'm going to add some pepper too. Marianne, I love that you have your dinner prepped already. That is one of the things I think that helps make just a successful day in the kitchen and a smoother dinner time is just to start early. And then, you know, I often do that too. I have stuff ready before the kids come home from school because it seems like when they come home, it's like crazy time. So everybody's trying to do their homework, take the showers, make their lunches for the next day, all that stuff. So I love that you have that done already, and all you have to do is stick it in the oven. So, okay. I have boneless tap loin strip steaks is what I'm using today. You can use whatever your favorite steak is. These are the ones that come pre-packaged at the store. So they're about an inch thick. If you get them from the deli at the store, not the deli, but the meat counter. My brain. Okay, if you get them, I am so ready for vacation. Like mentally, I'm already there. Okay, so if you actually get them like from the meat counter where they have them, they're usually cut a little bit thicker, so that's the difference. All right, so I've got these on here, and I'm just kind of nestling them in between the vegetables. And so next, I'm going to go ahead and season my steaks with Montreal steak seasoning. Kristen, I am going somewhere warm, and I could not be more excited. If I could show you the weather today, it's just gray and snowy. We have a snow day. The kids are all home. So we are going to go on a cruise. And we've been on a couple cruises before, but it hasn't been since before I had kids. So at least 13 years ago. My oldest is 13. So I'm going to go ahead and flip these and season both sides. Because we like them seasoned on both sides, but you don't have to do that. You're going in August. Where are you going on your cruise? Are you doing like Alaskan? Because it's like during summer or no? Okay, so a little bit of that. Let me just wash my hands a second. All right. So our cruise is leaving from Florida, and we are going to, I think we have a stop. I don't even know. My husband booked this. Everyone's asking me, where are your stops? I'm like, I don't know. They're in the sun. So we're going, I think, to the Bahamas and Grand Turk and maybe Dominican Republic. So, Ooh, Western Caribbean, that sounds lovely. I'm not very good geographically, I'm just gonna say that. So if I don't think I named anything Western. I think I named all Southern, right? So yeah, my oldest is homeschooled and I'm learning so much. So I swear, I'm like, did I never learn this or have I just not retained it? I don't know. So, yes, I love the vanilla. So sun and warmth sounds great and I fully agree. So I'm going to put these in the oven. Now what we're going to do, we're going to put these on broil and we're going to flip the steaks halfway through. So again, the amount of cooking time is going to depend on your preference. If you like your steaks well done or medium well, they're going to go longer. I'm shooting for medium rare today. So I'm going to pop these in the oven and then I'm going to come back and share with you 5 different tips for having successful sheet pan dinners. Okay, so I'll be right back. Okay, so I have my timer set and I'll kind of be keeping an eye on it a little bit. And let me share this. Okay, so first tip for sheet pan dinners. Oh, Melissa. Okay, I'm sorry. Let me respond to this comment a minute from Melissa. So you're making sheet pan steak fajitas for dinner. Best seasonings. You know, Melissa, I make up my own. So, like I used to make my own taco seasoning, and then I just quit doing that, and I started, you know, little of this and little of that. So I like chili powder, of course, and I like cumin, and I like garlic, and I like smoked paprika, and of course you can do like red pepper or cayenne pepper if you like something really spicy. So we have some people in our family that like spicy and some that don't. So I tend to just go on the mild side, and then, you know, if people want to add spice, they can add red pepper flakes or Frank's Red Hot sauce or whatever to their dish. So, but those are my favorite ones, and I'll do salt. I'll add salt and pepper in there too. So, like maybe a tablespoon. Actually, you know what, Melissa? If you look, I have a post for sheet pan chicken fajitas. Okay. So, hey Ashley, thanks for joining us. I have a sheet pan chicken fajitas, and so if you go to that post, just search it on my site, or if you need help finding it, I can link to it a little bit later when I'm finished here. But I have the seasoning that I use right there, and it's great. Oh, Ashley, thank you. You have no idea. Do you guys ever like put something on in the morning and feel like, I don't really like my outfit? I mean, usually I don't. I've kind of purged all my clothes down to stuff I like. But I will say this morning I was like, I don't know how this looks. So Ashley, you totally made my day. Thank you. Okay, let me tell you the tips for great sheet pan dinners. So number one, you want to use the right kind of pan. So I recommend, it's called a half sheet pan, okay? And I did link this in the description, so you'll be able to just have easy access to it. And it's a heavy gauge metal, and it's 18 by 13 inches. Yes, I'm looking at my notes to make sure that I give you the right thing. And it has that 1-inch rim. And so that's exactly what I was using and what I'm cooking mine on right now, okay? So it's great because it can handle the heat, like especially I'm going under broil right now, or if you do something, a lot of times sheet pan dinners are like at a high heat, and they're pretty short amount of time. So it can handle that heat, and you can spread the food out nice because of the size of it. On a smaller sheet pan, you either have to do less food or you just can't spread it out as much. So I cook for 6 every day, so, and you know what, we all eat. Like my kids really aren't that picky and they love food. So I'm raising foodies. I always say I'm going to start another blog called Raising Garbage Disposals because they will eat almost anything. Like a spoonful of guacamole left, I'm like, who wants this? I'll just eat a spoon. My neighbors call me. I have like a retired neighbor, and he'll call and he'll say, would you have any use for a half a watermelon? And I'm like, absolutely. Would you have any use for some extra salad? I'm like, absolutely. We take everything, and it gets gone. I've got 1 minute left, and then I'm going to pull those out and turn the steaks, okay? But until then, so I like that size because you can just spread the food out, and if the food is crowded on the pan, it can get mushy because there's not enough air circulating. So like that steam will just kind of build up, and then your stuff is kind of sitting in the water. So you want it to, you want the heat to be able to move across the ingredients, okay? It'll give you a nice caramelized, crisp, brown finish. Same thing if you do a 9x13 like baking dish, that rim is too high, so the heat can't move across that evenly. So that's why you want to use that half sheet pan. So I'm going to grab this and flip it. I'll be right back. All right. This is caramelizing really nicely. And all ovens are different too, so I mean, you guys know your own ovens, and you know, if you have to cook stuff less or more or whatever, this definitely needs a little more cook time. It would be rare right now. And I might just give these little vegetables a toss too. I love it because they get just a tiny bit crispy, which just gives you a little more texture and flavor, and just a tiny bit charred. And then the tomatoes, the skin is just breaking nicely. The heat brings out just all the sweetness of the tomatoes. I love that. All right, so this is going to go back in. I'm going to do another 5 minutes. And then I will give you the rest of these tips really quick. So, okay, so second tip is for easy cleanup, you can line your pan. So go ahead and line your pan with heavy duty foil, or just regular foil works fine too, and give yourself a nice overhang so that, you know, it doesn't leak and you end up cleaning the pan anyways. But I do love to do that. You won't see that probably on my blog because tinfoil doesn't photograph well. So that's the honest truth. But it does make for easy cleanup. It's awesome. So I guess I have 6 tips for you. Number 3 is you want to keep your meat and your vegetables close to the same size and close to the same thickness. So that's why I chose the broccoli and the tomatoes today, because they both cook really quickly, and so does steak. So all of that can just be in there at the same time. And I've done it before where I've added potatoes, and then I have to kind of parboil them or cook them earlier, so it's just not as like one pan. But if you were going to do different vegetables, I would just make sure that your cooking time for your meat and your veggies is going to match. So chicken usually takes longer, so that I can do carrots or you know, something else that would need a little bit longer cooking time. The chicken fajitas that I do on a sheet pan also go really fast because the chicken is cut into smaller pieces, so it works really well too. And that just has peppers and onions with it, so like your typical fajitas. Okay, so number 4, you want to give denser vegetables a head start. So that's a little bit like what I was referring to with the potatoes. If you wanted to add potato to this, I would do like the baby potatoes and put them in for a few minutes before you put in the rest. So you would just kind of start that, pull it out, add your other things, and put it back in. But it still can be done. So I prefer to like have it all done at once. But you know, maybe that's just the lazy part of me. You always want to add oil. So oiling up your ingredients is going to keep them from drying out. Okay, as we talked about how that heat and that air can move across the pan with that low rim, and that's going to help you. So you can do the oil and the seasonings right in the pan. That's what we did today. You can do it in a bowl separately and then pour it out, whatever works best for you. For a lot of people, they just like to get their hands in there and mix it all up, and then you can make sure it's totally even. So that's nice too. And then number 5, add a rack. So if you are doing like breaded chicken or breaded fish, you can place a rack over your sheet pan and then go ahead and lay everything on there. That way, like your breading is going to stay crisp because more air can move around it. Where if you just sit it flat in your sheet pan, then you know that breading sometimes can have a tendency to stick. How do I know? Because I've done this before. I've done it where I was like, oh, my breaded chicken. So anyway, that's just another tip. So hopefully that will help make your sheet pan dinners a success, no matter what type of meat or protein you're doing and no matter what kind of vegetables. So I'd say the biggest thing is, you know, making sure that things are the same size and thickness, and then you should be able to get everything done at the same time. So that's nice. Okay, so we have 1 minute. Just got my 1 minute thing, and I'm gonna go ahead and just take it out a little bit early, rather than trying to fill air with 1 minute. So I'll go get that, and then I will show you guys. So we'll add the cheese sauce next. So I was gonna say too, this is a great one. Like if you want to do something for you and your sweetheart, it's a great like easy Valentine's dinner that feels like at home. You know, that feels a little more fancy because it's steak. So that's kind of nice. I'll be right back. All right, so I'm gonna just tilt the camera down so that you can see this a little bit better, and how our vegetables are. So when you're on broil, they're gonna get a little bit charred and crispy, which is how we like them. If you don't like them that way, just do it at a really high temperature. But our steak is nicely caramelized and our tomatoes are nice and like soft and juicy. So let me adjust this. Okay, can you guys see that okay? Oh, let me get back here to my monitor. That will help me. It's just that it's a little bit delayed. Okay, if you can't see it though, just let me know. Now, typically with steak, I like to let it rest for about 5 or 10 minutes before cutting into it. But if you're not patient, just go ahead and go for it. Okay, oh yeah, you can see that good. So my computer finally caught up with me. All right, so let's add our cheese sauce. Get this back in front of me here so I can see what I'm doing. All right, so this is, if you missed this earlier, this is our cheese sauce. You know what, it's cooled down. I'm gonna just warm this up really quick. It cooled down a little bit too much for me to pour. So, thanks, Jennifer. I'm really excited for lunch. Who has steak for lunch? Like, this is awesome. I'm excited. Thank you, Kathy. Oh yes, the cheese sauce does make it decadent. Should have just kept that on warm for you, but this will just warm up really quickly. All right. So then you can just drizzle this on your steak. And it will be, as Kathy said, decadent. All right, and as I mentioned, this is great too for your vegetables. It's great for cheese and crackers. Like you can put it in crackers, you can use it as a vegetable dip. There's like so many options. It's really similar to like the boursin cheese that you would find in your grocery store, except it's sauce. So, okay. It's beeping at me. Error. Okay. So that is what I have for you. I want to let you know really quickly that next week there is no show because I will be cruising. So I'm excited about that. But if you want to see kind of what's happening behind the scenes, then feel free to follow me on Instagram because I will be sharing some Instagram stories and sharing, of course, some of the food that we're going to be eating and the places that we're going and that kind of stuff. So if you're interested. And then thanks, Melissa. We will. I'm excited. And then also, if you would like to get recipes delivered to your mailbox, you can sign up for my newsletter. I have it linked in the description here. And just as a thank you, you'll receive a collection of my favorite smoothies. And I believe there's like 10 of them in there, and some of them are not on my blog. So they are just privy to my, what I like to call my email friends. So thank you, Jennifer, I will. So if you'd like to do that, you can do that there. And then I will see you in 2 weeks on Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you so much for joining us today. You guys have an awesome weekend.